This next one would make a good essay question. What were the international consequences of the Loyalist exodus after the American War of Independence?
I see the American Loyalist exodus as really significant for the international history of this period. It's a period that's called the Age of Revolutions by many historians, and they say the Age of Revolutions because the American Revolution was the first of several revolutions that soon followed. The French Revolution, very soon thereafter, with many ties, of course, to America, with figures like the Marquis de Lafayette, who came to fight in America and was then involved in revolutionary France not long thereafter. The revolution in Haiti, which led to the independence and abolition of slavery in Haiti, various revolutions in Latin America. So this is a period where there are lots of revolutions, following the example of the United States. But by tracing the line of the Loyalists out of the US, I think we see a different side of the Age of Revolutions. And that's the side of the Age of Revolutions which actually didn't become revolutionary. That's the side that's actually kind of like Britain itself, where there was no revolution. George III was not overthrown within Britain. And in fact, in the huge series of battles and wars that Britain went on to fight with revolutionary France in the 1790s and early part of the 19th century, ultimately it would be the British Empire that came out victorious from this whole set of conflicts. So I think that we see in the British response to the Loyalists after the American Revolution, and in the British response to the loss in America, several ingredients of a kind of new formula for Britain in the world, and the British Empire in the world, that will be really significant for the history of the Age of Revolutions. And those include a few principles, which together I call the spirit of 1783. We're really used to the spirit of 1776 with, liberty and equality and the pursuit of happiness. The spirit of 1783, as I see it, has these other elements. One of them is that the British become really committed to actual territorial expansion. They expand the British Empire. They expand it in Canada, they expand it in the Bahamas, they expand it in Sierra Leone, they expand it in all these places that the Loyalist refugees are very usefully settling for them. But they expanded in other places too. They expanded, for example, in the 1780s into Australia, which becomes part of the British Empire. They expand their role and their presence in India, which will become the real center of the British Empire in the decades ahead. And they pursue this sense of expansion with a real kind of commitment to the idea that in these British domains, a couple of kinds of principles will be in the forefront. These are the other two elements of the spirit of 1783. One of them is that the British say, look, you guys in America, for example, you former colonists, now you call yourselves members of the United States, you guys thought that you were going to be equal to us. Well, guess what? That's not going to work in the British Empire. We're not going to say that everyone in India and everyone in Africa and everyone in Canada and everyone in Jamaica and Australia, we're not going to say that all of you guys are exactly the same as the British living in Britain. But we are going to say this to you. We are going to say to you that you can have certain rights. You can have protection. You can have the freedom to protest certain kinds of things that you don't like. You can protest by writing a petition to the king, for example. The king is going to protect you, and the king is there for you. You can have security of your property. You can have relative freedom from arbitrary arrest. You can have, by and large, in many places, some kind of local government and some sense of fair justice, jury, trial by your peers, that kind of thing. You will get all of those sorts of protections in the British Empire, but you will get them without being our equals. And so in this we see these two things. We see on the one hand a kind of commitment to a vision of liberty that the British are giving to their subjects. But we also see in this a kind of reassertion of a sort of hierarchy in which it is made very clear that the king is on the top, Parliament is in Britain, and the colonies are going to have to follow the lead of what London dictates.